Good day. Thank you for tuning into this 2017 primary election candidate forum for Tumwater City Council Position 6. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TCM. The League is a nonprofit organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties. We are nonpartisan. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with the governing bodies. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of age 16 and up. I'm Allison Brooks from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for Tumwater City Council Position 6 are Jonathan Kaplan and Debbie Sullivan. For this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. I will ask them questions in alternating order. The person first asked the question will have 2 minutes for a response, followed by 1 minute from the other candidate. There will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We'll begin with opening statements from the candidates, beginning with Jonathan Kaplan.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. My name is Dr. Jonathan Kaplan. I'm running for Tumwater City Council Position number 6, a nonpartisan position. I'd like to say I'm not your usual politician. I'm a professor and a writer. I have a doctorate from Yale University. I've spent more than 20 years working in Guatemala with poor rural Maya speakers on sustainable development projects and archaeological projects. So I have a lot of experience with sustainable development. Last summer, I returned after nearly 5 years from Beijing, China, where I was teaching at a scientific university. I've seen firsthand the impacts of social, economic, racial, and environmental injustice, and so those issues are very important to me. I'm back now in Tumwater, and I want to use my experience and training to help our city grow and prosper. There are 7 council members. I know some of them, and I know that I can work well with all of them. The council with the mayor work on deciding on and funding city projects, solving traffic problems, answering individual citizen concerns, keeping 11 parks maintained, and there are special projects. If elected, I will first help the city combat climate change. That's my primary issue. Help the city prepare for great population growth, simultaneously saving and expanding our green spaces. With all this, I want to make sure that your money, the voters' money, is well spent. Specifically, my plan is to write a citywide action plan on climate change. We're running out of time on this. Protect our water and natural habitats. And I will stop now.
Thank you. Debbie, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you very much. And I too also thank the League of Women Voters for this great opportunity. I think this is great benefit to the citizens of Thurston County and the citizens of Tumwater to have this opportunity to be able to see and hear what their candidates are other than just the written statements that are in the voter's guide. I've been a 20-year resident of Tumwater, and during that time I have served 10 years on the Tumwater Planning Commission. 7 of those 10 years I was elected by my fellow Planning Commission members to serve as chair. We have done a multitude of great things for the city of Tumwater doing that. I have been on the Tumwater City Council since 2013, and during that time I serve on multiple boards and commissions. Some of those include the General Government Committee, and I also sit on the Law Pension Board. I also am chair of the Intercity Transit Authority Board, and with that I am able to help move our transportation, which helps our environment and our citizens. I also sit on Community Action Council Lewis Mason Thurston Council, and as their vice chair, and with that we provide multiple services to the citizens of Thurston, Mason, and Lewis counties. I come from a background of public, private, and nonprofit industries. I have been everything from working in Intel Corporation, a large corporation, to being a small business owner. So I understand the dynamics of what it takes to have a smooth moving economy. And with those options, I want to make sure that Tumwater stays a vibrant place to live, work, and play. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you both. Debbie, you can have the first question. You have 2 minutes to answer this. And although you both sort of touched on it, this is your chance to elaborate. Debbie, what is your primary objective if you are elected to the council?
My primary objective is to make sure that we have a balance. We have the opportunity to continue to develop the growth of Tumwater, make sure that Tumwater looks like how we want it to be. We need to make sure that we have walkable communities, but we also need to make sure that it meets the needs of the citizens. So if we do not have the opportunity to walk to your job, that will not be beneficial to making for walkable communities. So we need to be able to live in Tumwater, work in Tumwater, shop in Tumwater. So we need to make ourselves where we can meet all needs of our citizens. Other items is that we have a great opportunity to work with the environment. One of the items that we just recently passed was to be able to buy wind power from PSE. So we're one of the first people who are organizations. And so all of our metered items, all of our metered city-owned facilities will come off wind energy once that wind power generated plant comes on board. Part of my experience also with this type of environment is I worked for WSU Extension Energy Program. I worked as a liaison for ARPA-E, which is similar to DARPA, but for energy. And with that, I was able to meet many of the individuals who make amazing contributions to our new technologies and things that are out of the box. I was able to go to Washington, D.C. and actually see some of these things firsthand. So I have a broad variety of interests, and I think we need to continue to make Tumwater a very well-rounded community to where we can enjoy working, living here.
Thank you. Jonathan, you have 1 minute to tell us your primary objective if you are elected to the council.
My number one plank is climate change and preparing for this very severe problem that is really threatening all of us. The impacts of climate change are already upon us, and unless we act, they will grow worse. We need to cut the greenhouse gas emissions beyond what the Paris Accords call for. 97% of commuters in Tumwater drive their cars to work. 97%. That has to change. We need convenient public transportation, green or electric buses. We need more parks. We need to expand and preserve and expand our natural plant and animal habitats. We need to invite green industries with green job training as well. I also am very concerned about other problems. I hope I have time quickly to answer that with regard to the homeless and restoring dignity to about 400 homeless.
And it's okay, we're going to get to that question.
Oh boy,
So,
okay, good.
All right, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
So Jonathan, the question we have now is, what would be your budget priorities if you were on the council? And you have 2 minutes to discuss budget.
Sure. Well, first I want to reassure the Tumwater voters that if elected, I would work with the council to make sure that every penny spent is spent wisely. That money is your money. Again, I would have to return to the climate change problem. However, public transportation, which is a part of that, I would probably increase the budget for that. There needs to be some funds to address the homeless, but maybe that question will come. There's a real traffic problem in Tumwater. Again, that touches on expanding our public transportation. In 20 years, the population of Tumwater may double. So there's going to be enormous stress and strain on the infrastructure. And so we need to spend more money preparing for all of these things. with a great many new people coming to Tumwater. And so I think that would be my primary budget push. Affordable housing is very important too. I would emphasize that. And probably more dense urban growth areas for that new housing. And if I have more time, I must be just about up. I think the city needs to contract with builders who build green while keeping costs down. So I think part of the budget could be spent in addition to working to invite green industries and maybe cooperating on green job training. So that would be another emphasis. And okay.
Thank you. Debbie, what would be your City of Tumwater budget priorities for the next 4 years?
So my budget priorities actually have not varied much from the entire time I've been on the council. Essential services, public safety, making sure that the city is running smoothly is definitely a vital part of what we need to do as voters. We have had things like the levy lid lift and the transportation benefit district, and with those were voter elected initiatives, and we won those astoundingly approving those, and we do that because the voters trust us as council members to do what we say we're going to do. And so I want to make sure that I instill that trust moving forward with the citizens, making sure that our fire, police, our roads, our essential services are covered. Want to make sure that as a citizen, the needs are met, because that is what we do as a city government, is we need to make sure that those essential services are cared for. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, so you get the next question and you'll have 2 minutes to answer. How would you work to resolve homelessness in Tumwater?
That is a huge question, and that is something that is on the minds of most elected officials and citizens of Tumwater and Thurston County. And it's not a problem that can be solved just within the confines of Tumwater. I work for the Department of Commerce in my day job, and this is the #1 priority at the Department of Commerce. We have a multitude of work groups and those that we are working with specifically. At the Department of Commerce, we do everything from homelessness to aerospace. So we have a multitude of things. We work on a lot of different avenues. I think one of the major problems that we have in this society and in our community is that when we defunded and lowered the funding rate for mental health services, this created a huge gap. This created a gap where those marginalized people no longer had the services they need to be maintained being independent. We need to make sure that we are able to restore those kinds of services. Yes, we need to get people housed, but we need to support them while they're being housed. Some have very specialized needs. We are now having veterans that are coming out of war zones that are not having needs met through the Veterans Administration and other agencies. We are doing what we can, but this needs to be a larger effort. This needs to be a state effort. This needs to be a national effort. And I, as a Tumwater City Council member, will do everything in my power to do what we can to do that. But I want us to be smart on how we do it. I want it to be sustainable of how we deal with the homeless issue. We need to have long-term solutions as well as the Band-Aids, but we need to take a comprehensive look at this.
Thank you. Jonathan, you have 1 minute to give us your views on how you would resolve homelessness in Tumwater.
When I drive from my home and walk around the neighborhood, I see homeless people. I also see discarded bottles, evidence of drug abuse. I really like the Housing First program. This was a program that was started in 1988. The first venue for it was in Los Angeles. I think it's a great idea. The idea being to first give homeless people a roof over their heads, to give them dignity. Very importantly, as Debbie said, as I believe I understood her, we need to coordinate across the boundaries into adjacent cities. And while we provide roofs and tiny homes perhaps, that's another part of this, we need to coordinate with all of the health services in the area so we can address whatever are their mental and emotional needs.
Thank you. Jonathan, you get to start with the next question and you'll have 2 minutes. What do you envision the Tumwater Brewery District to look like in the next few years?
This is a project that is now being looked at by the current city council and the mayor. It's an exciting one. I think it is a bit complicated. There are some environmental concerns if the tower, for example, is rehabilitated and built, and those environmental concerns would have to be met. But my idea, what occurred to me, is that perhaps we could get some income once we have rehabilitated the buildings, get some income from, for example, an artists cooperative there, also perhaps some kind of a film festival, perhaps, or an arts festival that would be headquartered there. You know, this could be a real community asset. Again, my concern is that the access is a little bit difficult, so the environmental problems would have to be worked out. A great concern of mine with regard to that is preserving every scrap of green space that we have left, trying to expand those, so I would really be looked at that very, very hard. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity to provide Tumwater more of an identity that will draw people to the town and then raise the income of the town. I don't know, my mother was born and raised in Tumwater, and I spoke with a gentleman, an older gentleman, and he described what the town was like when my mother was a little child, and it was a beautiful small town. And the brewery, I think, opened in 1896, I believe, and so it's a part of the history. I think there should be a display, a museum perhaps, of artifacts from the museum. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, what do you envision the Tumwater Brewery District to look like in the next few years to 5 years?
So when you say brewery district, I take that as being expanded to the area around what we call the brewery district. And the brewery district includes the area that also has Safeways. We want to make sure that that is a vibrant community. Tumwater does not have a downtown. That would possibly be part of a possible downtown area. So we have done items that for redevelopment that might benefit that, including the density, raising, building heights, the other things that would help that. We don't own the buildings other than the old brew tower, so we can do what we can to mitigate and to make it as easy as possible for development and solve some of the problems up front, which we have been working on extensively to make that as take away as many barriers as we can for a lot of development, including moving the transit center, which will be moved. We're updating the transit center there now, but it will be moved in the future to be just on Capitol Boulevard.
Thank you, Debbie. You get the next question. Okay. You'll have 2 minutes. What do you see as being the 3 to 4 most important issues that the Tumwater City Council will be facing over the next 4 years?
One of the items that is going to be a struggle is, as you know, the Endangered Species Act, where we have the development issues with the pocket gopher, the lark, and the butterfly. This has had a huge impact on Tumwater, probably more than most all of the other cities in Thurston County. We have the large port area, which could come to a lot of different development, but we're not able to do a lot of those items because we need to do mitigation, and that is very costly. So we want to do what we can to help alleviate some of those barriers. So these are topics of discussion that we're talking about at the City of Tumwater. This also impacts us when we need to do road widening and some of our other essential services. So we do what we can to work with the Fish and Wildlife to see what we can do to help those items. One of the other areas is bringing in more businesses. The port especially, I see that as an opportunity where we can do high-tech education. We have the brewery projects. We're partnering with colleges. How do we make that the center hub and bring Tumwater's identity back of being the brewing center? I think that's a great opportunity for incubators, small businesses, and those kinds of things that can come forward and make that a great community development. I like the fact that we like to do projects, development, makes Tumwater a fun community. We do the 4th of July parade, we do the Brew Fest, we do a lot of those things. I want to make sure that we continue to make Tumwater a place where we want to spend our weekends and bring in other people from other communities to showcase Tumwater and what it has to offer.
Thank you. Jonathan, what do you think are the 3 to 4 most important issues that the Tumwater City Council will be working on for the next 4 years?
Big question. Again, I think climate change is really the great threat. I certainly agree with Debbie about trying to revitalize the downtown. This is a long-term issue, but I think we need to work on that. I'm really concerned about the I-5 corridor. And if one drives up to Tacoma, you see increasingly on either side of the highway all sorts of fast food franchises and things that are not attractive. And I'm very concerned that Tumwater is going to, will expand with that kind of commerce. Population growth is going to double in 20 years with a large influx of people coming in. We need to really work long-term on that. I think a very important thing would be to try to expand our farmers' markets. Local produce brought to sell to the local people. Water is a huge issue. Already in Thurston County, wells are going dry.
Thank you. So Jonathan, you'll like the next question. The next question is, what action should the City Council take regarding scoping and developing a climate action plan?
Oh boy, this is a really big issue. I think if there are any listeners out there who don't believe that human-caused climate change is happening, I would love to talk with you, because 97% of the experts say that it is real and the threat is very real. Some estimates by 2060, the temperatures all around the world could rise on average of 3.5 degrees centigrade, which would be disastrous. We need to do more than the climate change accords in Paris. We need to beat their targets. The community-wide action plan that I have in mind, there are about 30 other cities around the country, large and small, that have these action plans. And they're really, this is what we have to do. What I would do would be to try to educate the citizens of Tumwater about the details of climate change and its threat. We would have frequent venues where we can meet the citizens and try to explain what's going on and invite experts in. So in addition to the very large influx of people coming in, there are so many other related issues as a part of this community-wide action plan. They include expansion, as I said earlier, of urban growth areas and more dense population buildings, for example. I don't want to segregate the poor with this affordable housing. I would want to have both middle-class folks as well as poor folks, so they're not segregated. As I said earlier, we need to preserve every scrap we have left of green space. We need to contract with builders who build green and keep costs down.
Thank you. Next question goes to, oh, sorry, Debbie, I forgot. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. So I would say that our plan, we are working on a plan, and we have been working on one. And I would say just recently, as I stated earlier, we have made an agreement with PSE to be one of the organizations or municipalities that is buying their wind-generated power from a future wind farm that is going in south of here. And so all of our metered things will be, all of our metered pieces of property will be purchasing our energy from them. We also look at doing vehicles to make sure those are as energy efficient as possible. And again, with my experience of working at WSU Extension Energy Program and the State Energy Office, I am very familiar with a lot of the energies. I would like to bring green jobs. I would like to bring those new technology jobs to Tumwater and make this a hub of where the technology can be kicked off.
Okay, sorry about that, Debbie. I got ahead of myself because now I'm going to give you the next question for 2 minutes. And that is, what can the City Council do to support social justice and equity issues in Tumwater?
So that is a really good question. And I serve on the Community Action Council of Lewis Mason Thurston as their vice chair, and that is one that has a lot to do with a lot of the social services that provide funds and benefits to our citizens. There are a lot of areas where if individuals are feeling marginalized, they will not feel represented. I think our police department has done a great job of understanding all levels of individuals. I think that we do a great job of making sure that our citizens do not feel marginalized, that they do feel heard, and that their concerns and needs are taken seriously. Housing, for example, is that we try to increase the affordable and low-cost housing as much as possible. We also try to do that by not losing the main stock of housing that we have. We have a low vacancy rate, which then creates a real pressure on the market. And so with that, we need to make the needs known. We have a lot of children in our school districts that are poor, need lunches. We need to find those services. I think we do a great job of trying to find where we have needs and trying to meet those needs.
Thank you, Debbie. Jonathan, what do you think the City Council can do to support racial justice and equity issues?
These issues are very, very close to home, close to my heart after spending just about 20 years in Guatemala with a very oppressed people, Maya speakers in Guatemala. I really care for those people down there. My natural instinct is for the underdog. I'm very concerned that women are empowered and encouraged to take on leadership positions. I want to make sure that LGBT people are dealt with in a fair manner. They're just like all of us. They're human beings. And with the population growth that is to come, we're going to get many migrants from around the country and perhaps around the world who are going to be coming to the Pacific Northwest, escaping from the harsher impacts of climate change. These will be likely brown people. We need to welcome them. And I see the stop sign.
Thank you. Okay, well, coming to a close of our time, so you will each have 1 minute for a closing statement, and I appreciate you both joining us today. And we will start with Debbie for a 1 minute closing statement.
Great, thank you very much. So as I've described, I bring a wealth of experience in both my holding positions on the Planning Commission and on City Council, as well as my professional experience dealing with a variety of items. I'm endorsed by multiple community leaders, and which includes Mayor Commit, many of the City Council members, Port Commissioners, school board members, and as we move further close to our election process, I'm sure there'll be many more. But I want to say that I think I have brought value to our City Council. I work well with the City Council. I have developed some very strong relationships with a lot of community leaders, and with that, you are able to solve problems quickly, develop an amount of trust that with the other members that you need to work with. So that, I believe, is a strong value that I bring to the Council.
Thank you. Jonathan, closing statement for 1 minute.
I too have some endorsements. Once again, before I talk about that and some other issues, I want to thank again the League of Women Voters. I think the council needs greater vision. These are good people. I can work with all of them. But I think with my training and my education, I can really advance some profoundly important issues The impacts of climate change are already upon us, and unless we act now, they will indeed grow worse. Problems such as growth, again, the estimate is that population may double in the next 20 years. People coming to Tumwater also because of its beautiful environment, its very good schools, very low crime, and friendly people. If climate change might be considered my primary issue, there are other problems that are very important to me as well. These are only a few of the issues, however, that I have described. Please go to my Facebook webpage, Tumwater City candidate Jonathan Kaplan, and thank you so much.
Thank you both. And thank you for participating in the League of Women Voters Primary Election Forum for Tumwater City Council Position 6. We encourage viewers to vote in the primary election on August 1st, 2017. The League thanks Thurston Community Media for their ongoing support and assistance. And please remember, the League of Women Voters is open to both men and women, so please join us. Thank you again.